Hi friends, it's Laura at Marine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. This is my end of month recap for May 2022, and May 2022 has been quite the month in ways that are both positive and negative, we will say. So this update kind of recap video is not going to be as structured as my usual end of month recaps. With respect to tarot decks I've received, I haven't opened anything. Even my second copy of my edited OM deck, which did arrive, I have not opened yet. Tarot decks I've enjoyed, I've barely touched. Decks for at least the latter half of this month, so I don't really have much to say in those areas. I have really nothing to share at all about horse, my animal of the month for May. Now, I did have horse not too many months ago, so I have shared learnings about horse before, but this month, apologies to horse, I don't have anything else to add because my brain has not been in my practice in these kinds of ways, because May has been ridiculous. And this is going to be a sweary this is going to be a sweary ramble update just compared to usual. Just so you know, I do have with me a delicious Amsterdam Helles Golden Lager to enjoy while I'm chatting with you that I just opened. My goodness. So I have good and bad, I guess, things to ramble about. I'll get the bad out of the way first, and then talk about the great, exciting update that came kind of and is unfolding in the midst of the weirdness of the bad, I guess. And then I will tell you about the 2 books I read that were not part of the Asian Readathon, which I already shared. And I'll pick a new animal at the end. But this is going to be a rambling life update. I have more just, I guess, to talk about in the way of general life updates, and really nothing to say in the usual tarot oracle decks area. I will have lots to say on those things in June, though, which is also Pride Month, so I have some ideas. But this month, okay, so the bad first, I guess. For folks who live outside of Ontario, you probably have not heard anything about this, but Ontario, which is where I live, was hit with a derecho storm a week ago and a bit. So a derecho is a kind of storm that I didn't know existed until like last year when another one occurred in the United States. But it's like a straight line of storm that moves very, very quickly, very, very high winds, thunderstorms, and at times tornadoes and like funnel clouds touch down as well. That happened in this case in a number of places, including very, very close to where I live, very near my partner's family, where they live just in the next town over. And so it was scary. It was scary to be in that storm. We don't actually know. There are different wind speed measurements from around Ontario, but we don't actually know what the wind speeds were in the city where I live, because the storm knocked over the wind monitoring station. So that can, on its own, give you an idea of what it was like. It was very loud. It was very scary. And it was very fast. It was over very fast. So this happened, and I was just at home in the afternoon on a Saturday. And I was like, oh, there's a thunderstorm, whatever. And the power went out, and the cats are freaking out and hiding, and my partner was asleep, who can sleep through anything. I am now more certain than ever. Did wake up, though. And then it was over, and then we went outside to kind of survey the damage, and like there was a lot. So we're lucky. We are safe. Our house is okay. Our tree is okay. Many trees are not okay, and came down, and so that's been a grieving process. losing all of those trees, and it's climate grief, because that's of course where these storms are coming from, is climate change, and it's really hard to think about that. And I've been thinking about that and processing that, so it's been a lot of feelings, of druid feelings about lost trees. But there are a lot of trees down, power lines down, streets blocked, roofs ruined. In the next town over where the funnel clouds were hitting, they had cars overturned and things like this. It's very, very messy. And it's been a very slow process of cleaning up. So I was out, cleaning up branches and helping neighbors who lost entire trees, clear out their properties and that. But we ended up out of power with no electricity, no hot water, no nothing for 5.5 days. Some of the city is still out right now, so they're past a week out. So we had 5.5 days of power outage. They turned our power on, and then there was an explosion on my street, so then they had to turn it off again and clear more debris and things that were on the lines, and then turn it back on again. So we have had power for like a day and a half or so now, I think. And so we ended up, in terms of kind of directly towards us negative effects of this, we ended up losing our freezer contents. We lost most of our fridge contents. We had just done a week and a half's worth of groceries before the power was lost, so we lost a lot of food, which was hard. Throwing out food I find it very difficult, like at any point, but to that extent, felt really shitty. Even though it had to, for safety reasons, obviously that's what had to happen. And just having no power for so long. The evenings are not that warm here. I'm glad it wasn't in winter, don't get me wrong. But it was chilly, and that meant no showering as well. So, I'm not bothered by not having television and shit like this for for extended periods of time. That's fine. I can read by candlelight. I'm not too bothered about any of that. But losing food was shitty. And cooking with no power for 5 days was an adventure. I am grateful that I have camping equipment because that is what I did. We got a camp stove, which runs on little propanes, and used the barbecue. So I had a week of barbecued coffee, barbecue tacos, barbecue pizza, like with the weird grocery remnants that we had left, because we were scared. We were kind of scared to obviously buy any more. Like, we didn't want to buy any more food when we had no refrigeration, and just have things be wasted again. And stores haven't been open or open and really, really backed up, and we're just like not dealing with any of that. So that was a challenge. That was a real challenge. And I was told, like, a couple of days after the storm, there's a park that's very close to me, a huge park where I spend a lot of time. And I asked my neighbor about this tree that I have a relationship with that is in that park that stands really by itself. It's a willow tree. And my neighbor said, "Oh, it's down. It's completely gone." And so I didn't go to the park for like days, right? And I was so upset about that. And then I went, and the tree was there and was standing tall, totally fine. And actually the park somehow made out pretty well. All of these, there's trees down all over the city, and there's trees down in the park too, and there's a lot of loss. But I was expecting this very, very treed, forested park to just be flattened, and it wasn't. And, like, I just lost it. at the park. And like if I've ever looked like a druid in public before, I think that like sobbing on this tree, hugging this tree, like tree hugging in the most literal sense, was probably, you know, the moment of druiding in public, if that's ever happened. But so much loss. And yeah, the climate grief is real. And I know that, and I've known that, but this just brought it home, you know, in a literal way that I had not perhaps processed it in the ways that I now have been in the last week. And so that's been emotional, like a emotional roller coaster of a time with no power and like a really weird food situation and something. So it's been a emotional latter half of the month for sure, with that. And also just, you know, it's such a disruption of a routine. Like obviously, you know, we rely on electricity every day, and we all know that. And when the power goes out, it's inconvenient, and we all know that. But for this extent, and to lose that food was really shitty and miserable. And we've only had electricity for a day and a half now, so it's just trying to, you know, readjust and get back to some, you know, semblance of rhythm and routine again. Replacing the food, which was also miserable, or some of it anyway. But that was that. I'm grateful to be safe. I'm grateful that my family is safe. It didn't really hit where my parents live, or where my siblings live. They're very far south in the province, and the storm, they kind of got a thunderstorm, like pretty standard with no real issues. But there's a lot of cleanup still needing to be done. There's 4 hydro trucks on my street right now, if you can hear them. They're still clearing, and it's been a week. And yeah, like my best friend lives, I don't know, 8 blocks away and doesn't have power still. So it's ongoing. So May has been that. At least the most recent part of May has been taken up with living with this storm that is a part of humans' horrifying impacts on the earth. And, you know, for an earth-centered person, that has been really hard. It's been spiritually hard. It's been emotionally hard. It's been financially hard, though not nearly as much as it could have been. Yeah, that's been the latter part of the month. But I do have a good life update too. And the good life update has been not tempered. Tempered makes it sound like it's been made not as good as it would have been otherwise. The good life update has been mediated through the lens of this storm, right? Because it came just about at the exact same time, or a little bit before the storm. So this is all happening at the same time. And the big update, the life update, the happy, exciting life update that I'm really happy and excited about is that I've accepted a new job that is full-time and permanent and in a sector that is new to me. I am making a pretty big change. So I've been thinking about making a change. Folks know that I've been teaching university courses. I've been doing that since 2016. Teaching mostly gender studies related and gender studies related courses in other departments as well. And it's something that I love. I love teaching. I love teaching feminisms. I love teaching about sexuality and about gender and you know, thinking about these things and talking about them with students. But it's been challenging because it's not full-time. It's very precarious employment, very short-term contracts, very inconsistent. And that comes with all kinds of stresses. So I've been thinking about whether I might want to shift into a more kind of 9 to 5, type of work, and what kind of work that might be, what kind of work I might like to do. And I've been applying here and there, being picky. Hi, Daryl. Daryl's coming to say hi. He thinks it's time for lunch, but it isn't. I've been kind of applying to these different jobs that are not in academia here and there when something has come up that I thought was interesting, I haven't worked anywhere except for universities or kind of university adjacent roles in most of my adult life. Like, I worked retail at a store selling textbooks while I was an undergraduate student from 2005 on for a couple of years. And that's the last job that I've had that was not teaching related in some way, either teaching assistant or grading or teaching courses. And so this is a huge, huge life change that, I started this new role, new job, totally new job, 2 days before the storm hit. So I've been learning a new sector, a new role, a new office, new colleagues, a new organization, new policies and protocols, new computer systems, like all of the things that go along with a brand new job. And the power goes out. And my new job is a 15-minute walk away from where I live. So the office was hit with the storm as well. They got their power on before I did, but the internet stayed out, and it's quite dependent on having that connectivity. So our ability to use the office was hampered, to say the least. So I've been trying to process this huge life change, of stepping away from teaching. I've made the decision to step away from teaching for the year, for the upcoming school year, and really shift into this new full-time position with all of my energy and all of my attention. I would love to teach a course again in the future. Maybe I can teach a night course or something like that, one at a time. I think that would be really fantastic, and I hope to be able to do that. But right now I'm stepping into this new role and trying to think about that and, learn all the things that go along with that by candlelight with my barbecued coffee. has been something. So it has just been a emotional roller coaster for the past several weeks, because I found out that I had gotten the job, and I didn't really tell anybody or say anything about it, until I started. A couple of really good friends knew that I had an interview and that, but that was it. I didn't want to, jinx it by talking about it too early. So there's been all this excitement, and then this happens in the middle of my training week. And so what a month. But I'm really excited about the new job. It is at a nonprofit that does fantastic work that I have been familiar with before, and I'm familiar with their work in the community, and that has been around for a number of decades, and does really, really good work. And so I'm really excited to be a part of that, and be a part of that team. And my job specifically relates to housing, and relates to securing housing for folks who have experienced and are experiencing homelessness. And I'm really excited to do that full time. And I'm really excited to be stepping into this new work that is certainly work that has some real similarities in terms of the kinds of skills and the kinds of things that I'll be doing. Certainly bears a lot of similarities to work that I've done in my capacity as a labor union steward, who deals a lot with negotiations and bargaining and grievances and things like this. So being able to take those skills into this completely new area, I'm really, really excited to get to do this work. I feel really honored to be able to do this kind of work. And I've barely started, but I feel like it's going to be a really good thing. and it's going to be a really good change. And I think that it's an organization that does so much good work that I'm really excited to be a part of, and I'm really glad to be a part of. So really, really excited. And I'm excited to have electricity. And I'm excited to have electricity again after not. And I'm excited to be able to start the job, in a more smooth way than what my first full week ended up being like. That's May. There's my 20-minute life update. Total life path reorientation that has been in the works for quite some time. I've been thinking about, and leaning into and looking into making this kind of change for quite some time. But with the things that are going on in the world, I didn't know that it was the best time to kind of make the change. And then how do I want to say this? I guess it just became abundantly clear to me that it was the time. I felt both pulled and pushed, into a new direction and out of the direction that I had been in. So it was really the right time, and I think that the right role for me has come up for me, and I'm really, really excited about that. So I'm really happy. But holy shit. It's been a weird month. And that's why I have very, very little to talk about in terms of tarot. I just chopped jalapenos. That's why I'm spicy. So that's my updates, my life updates. Now, I will just share a couple of extra things. Daryl is not going to let me say much more. I will share that in addition to the wonderful books I read for Asian Readathon, which I've made a separate video for, I finished 2 other books this month. One of which is this huge one, A Legacy and Natural History of Ontario, edited by John B. Diverge. And this is one of my reading books about the ecology that you live in books for my AODA Druidry study. This has a lot of variety in it, and I enjoyed that variety. It also very much reads like it was written when it was written, which was 1989. And some of the photos are of taxidermy, which I think is weird for a natural history book. But it was very informative. I doubt that this is a book that most people watching this channel are going to be particularly interested in, but it was informative, and it served the learning purpose that I had read it for in the context of my studies. The other book that I read was a Druidry book as well. I read Joanna Vanderhoven's Pagan Portals book called The Crane Bag, A Druid's Guide to Ritual Tools and Practices. And I like Joanna Vanderhoven's books. This is the second, I think it's the second Pagan Portals book of hers that I've read. I read The Awen Alone, about solitary Druidry, and then this one is about tools in Druidry, which you don't really need, but are common to many revival Druidry practitioners, things like the staff, and a cauldron or chalice, a sickle, and things like this. So it was good. It's Pagan Portals. You can read it in an hour and a half. I really appreciate about Joanna Vanderhoven that she always includes really practical considerations in books like this. So like candle fire safety around children, considerations when taking your druid staff on public transit or on an airline, practical things that we have to think about as druids in 2022. So I like that. And those are the 2 books that I read in addition to my Asian Readathon. My animal of the month again was horse. I've talked about horse before, so I don't feel terribly about the fact that I now have nothing to say about horse. Horse has sat on my table in my room and been a welcome presence there, but I just don't have any extra learning to add about horse this month. I will draw a new animal of the month though, and then I will leave you from this rambly update taking out the animals that we have already talked about. Okay, so this is the Druid Animal Oracle again to pick an animal for June. June's animal of the month to learn about and share about and learn from will be owl. There's a lot of types of owls. I hope that the guidebook will tell me what kind of owl that this is. I've had a lot of bird energy in my life lately. We've talked about raven and we've talked about wren not so long ago as well. So owl makes an appearance. We shall see what owl has to say over the course of the month. Now, that's about all I have to share with you. I think that my cat just knocked over something out of spite because I haven't given him his lunch at the time that he wanted, which was early. But I will share a little bit about what is going to be coming up on my channel in June, provided that all goes to plan, which, let me tell you, did not happen in May. I will be sharing with you a unplastic wrapping of the new and improved version of my OM deck, which is yet to be named. I am going to make this available. I haven't looked at this yet. I can see one card obviously on the other side. I made some changes with things like font. The backs are the same. I will have lots to say about this, but you'll see it when I see it. So that's coming up in June. I am going to be unboxing and talking about the Queer Tarot. I know other folks have unboxed and talked about the Queer Tarot. I know there's conversations about the Queer Tarot, but June is Pride Month and we need as much queer joy as we can get, let me say. We need queer joy and celebrating queer joy, and I'm going to be queer joy all over about the Queer Tarot when I unbox it. So that's coming up. There'll be some other, I'm sure, Pride related content that I will share with you. And then we'll see what else happens in June. Hopefully, things go a little bit more to plan, and I have more tarot content to share. This month kind of became a booktube month because, again, I've been so thrown for a loop by the life changes that, and the storm, that, yeah, tarot has just not been where my brain has been at. So that was May. I hope that you all had a fabulous May that was less tumultuous than my last week of May has been. I hope everyone is well. I will see you all again soon. I'm not sure when the next video will come up, but it will be very early in the month. And so I'll see you then. I'm thinking about trying a live or two in June. I never really do lives, but I had a great time on Casual Convo with Julie at Peekaboo Rose, chatting live. And so I think I would like to maybe try just a couple of really casual lives on my channel talking about something. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope that June is less eventful than May was. Looking forward to uneventful. Have a good one. I'll see you all soon.